You pride yourself in being an organic winemaker. What is the difference between organic winemaking and conventional winemaking?
It's the most frequently asked question I get when people come to my winery is they say, what does organic stand for? What does it really mean? It's a varied answer, and I would say essentially I've become an organic winemaker to make better wine. I think when I thought about it 10 years ago, I guess 8 of the 10 wines that I thought were my leaders, the peers for me, were all organic. And I thought, how can I make better wine? And being organic is one step towards it. What it really means is that you have to adhere to a discipline which is ordained by the Organic Association. They require you to do certain things in the vineyard and in the winery. There's an organic growing regime and there's an organic winemaking regime. They're audited, they're professionally managed, and to carry that certification means that you have to comply with everything involved. Simply means no chemicals that are not themselves organic, no genetically modified chemicals used in the winery, nothing that's artificial. In the case of a vineyard, it means that you can't use herbicides, for example. In winemaking, it means you're restricted on the way that you can clean tanks and with sanitisation, no chlorinated compounds. And if you do anything in the processing, it has to be also organic or not touching anything that's not organic. So it's a discipline, it's highly audited, and what it does mean is that your weapons are reduced. From a winemaking point of view, the only way I can say that our wines are better, so good quality grapes are always going to make good quality wine, it's important that you have the selection of the right material, because they themselves will be the barrier to anything going wrong. Remember, wine is halfway between grape juice and vinegar. Our job is to halt that process. And as an organic winemaker, you have to be very clean, you have to be very careful in what you do, and if you follow all of those rules, and if you do all of those things, you'll end up with a superior product. And I'm convinced of it.
It's also been well documented that you've done asthma-friendly wine before. How is this wine better for me?
Oh, that's a hard question, but it's something that I'm aware of because I used to suffer from asthma as well. And I guess it comes down to preservatives. And the main problem with asthma is sulphur. And sulphur on a label is labelled as 220. And any wine that's sold in Australia must carry that warning on the label. What the warning does is tell you the presence or absence of it only. It doesn't tell you how much there is. And the real rule here is that the better the wine, the less sulphur is required anyway. From an organic point of view, the restriction on sulphur is much less than other conventional forms of winemaking. I pushed it the next step, which was to make wine without any sulphur at all. I would have to say it's the hardest thing I've ever done, because as I said before, wine is halfway between grape juice and vinegar. And without sulphur, wine can turn to vinegar quite quickly. So to take away one of your weapons, it means you have to do some really, really innovative winemaking. That's why I say it was quite difficult, very, very hard, but it's been terribly successful for us because it's our #1 selling wine now. So this wine has no sulphur or no preservative 220. The old argument has been, well, therefore the wine won't last, and I would have thought that was true. So when I first made the wine, I said drink the wine within 12 months. So in 2009, for example, I said drink before 2010. I have 6 bottles of this left. I opened one recently. It was fabulous. It actually hasn't changed at all. One of the aspects about having no sulphur is that the wine actually doesn't get better, but in order to get worse, it's almost like Cryovac. It's almost quite stable. And this is something we didn't know at the time. So we've been holding wines back and tasting them regularly since we first made this preservative-free wine. And we ourselves are surprised how good the wines are with 2 or 3 years of age.
Did they say that you were crazy, that you can't do this kind of thing?
Yeah, in fact, that's a really good question, because I actually asked the 2 lecturers who taught me, how am I going to do that? And I said, you're mad, don't even bother, you're crazy. And so that was enough determination to do it myself, actually.